Welcome to Comics, my podcast with my mom, where we talk about our comic collection. It's our podcast. I shouldn't say it's my podcast. If you like it, hit the like button. Subscribe.
Give us a comment.
Give us two. Give us a comment as much as you want. Today, we're looking at a DC comic first. I read The Super Friends, number 46.
If they had a theme song, would it be dorky?
They do have a theme song, and it is dorky. I just can't remember exactly how it goes, but you remember the Super Friends. When I was a kid, it was in reruns on Cartoon Network, I believe.
Okay.
And you must have saw it in the background at least at some point. But it was pretty campy, and it was one of those ones where, like, the in-between scenes would be like, kind of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, to the Hall of Justice! Kind of. But, man, Superman looks pissed.
I know.
He looks really mad.
And Batman kind of looks like he's dancing.
And I picked this one because I guess I just like the clean layout. It's just a solid green background, basically, a couple shades. It's also so dramatic. I love how nobody can touch this guy. The Conqueror, everybody knows this universe-shattering villain, the Conqueror, right? No, I've never heard of him. I don't remember him. I never remembered the Viking-looking guy.
I know. Or
he was new to me.
the girl with the long hair.
When I think Super Friends, of course, I think Aquaman.
Yep.
I think Green Lantern. I think
Yes.
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Maybe Robin. Maybe he can tag
Yeah.
along. I also think Martian Manhunter. I think
right.
Hawkman. And I think...
The Wonder Twins.
The Wonder Twins. The worst of the Super Friends, I think. I guess they're there because... as a kid, you're supposed to identify with them. Be like, oh, even I could be a super friend because I'm young and I have a sibling, but you don't have a widow's peak and you don't have magic rings or whatever.
And your sibling is the dork. So
Catch more fish, bigger fish, or your money back. Seems like a weird demographic to be like, what Super Friends fans do a lot is fish. But they're selling us some self-propelled lures here.
Yeah. And dang.
That fish is going after the lure the same way Superman's going after the Conqueror.
And dang, if it doesn't make you happy about your catch.
Even this postal worker who quit his job temporarily, he's playing hooky so he can go catch some fish. So anyway, I picked this one, of course, because of the exciting cover, and I'm like, what is this guy's powers? He can't even be touched by any of these super powerful people. Some of the most powerful people in the DC universe, you would think. But I have to warn you that it's a little anticlimactic. So we're coming in at like the last stage or last act of an ongoing thing, unfortunately. And there's a lot of just like sudden solutions, Deus Ex Machina or whatever. There are a lot of it's all worked out okay, even though this guy was going to conquer the whole world. So,
Okay.
Oh, Zan and Jaina. What did I say? Jason, Jaina, maybe? But Zan and Jaina are the Wonder Twins. How could I forget? Zan. So, most of the comic is our Super Friends breaking into pairs, which I understand because it's a big cast, so it's more manageable if you have little mini
You're right.
episodes
right.
where like Superman and the Horned Mythology Man are going to this metal box because that's where they've imprisoned the World Beater. This guy, his name, he could beat the whole world. So maybe the Conqueror, maybe they could learn something about beating the Conqueror.
Who is this ram-headed guy?
He's the Olympian, of course. He has a really weird powers. He has like mythological based powers. So I love this part. Superman's like, I can see the World Beater inside with my X-ray vision. And the Olympian, he doesn't just take Superman's word for it. He's like, as do I, with the vision of Lynceus. Look out on the ship Argo. So like all of his powers are references to like
to other
Greek mythology
right.
or
Other mythical.
see his golden fleece is what he wears that gives him certain powers. It gives him the strength of Heracles, which the editors are nice enough to let us know. The Olympian, hero of Greece, uses the original Greek forms of such names as Hercules. So it gives him some authenticity. The Olympian wouldn't say Hercules. He's Greek. He says Heracles. So he annoys everyone, probably at the Super Friends hangout. Actually, the Greek is Heracles. And he always has to, announce the reference to like, I get super speed from Euphemos, the Flash of his day. It's like, don't teach me anything, comics. Quit trying to be so educational.
Oh my
the
God.
Olympian. You don't have to. Because, like, I bet he says that every time he has to go super fast. Like, yes, yep, we all know Euphemos. He was the Flash of ancient Greece. Now shut up. Wish you could be super fast with your explanations.
Oh,
I
my
do like
God.
this, like, rainbow-colored
Yeah.
portal of them
They're
just being super fast. So I
breaking
think
the time barrier.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, you're exactly right. They're going 100 years into the past. So that's how they end up getting into this box. It's this impregnable jail for the world beater. But if they go to this very spot 100 years ago and then flash forward in time, they'll be inside the box. It's pretty corny.
Wow.
If you could go back 100 years, shouldn't you just go back and prevent the main guy you're trying to defeat from taking power? If you got
Or
the
even
power
being
to time
born.
travel, yeah, just kill him when he's a baby or something. I mean, I don't want to get too dark here, but I'm going to use the...
Well, make it so his parents never meet.
Sure, that would be the nicer thing to do, I guess. But yeah, if you're that powerful, you can go back 100 years in just the snap of a finger and then zoom forward in time. That's like
we learned last episode, though, little changes can wreak havoc on the timeline.
you would think.
What if you did that and Spider-Man never realized?
I think they'd be thrilled. DC's like, yes, they're a
One
big
more
cash
guy.
cow character. Yeah, you would think it would have all these repercussions, but this is Super Friends, and it's geared towards, I think, a younger audience. Look at that
Right.
font. It's a TV comic. It's for babies.
Good point.
I
Good
guess.
point.
I still enjoy it. I love the cartooniness of the art, like his thin
Yeah.
little mouth and his little dotted eyes.
This guy, yeah, the
It's like
world
that's
beater.
the world beater. He kind of looks friendly. He doesn't look that bad. So
Is
if
he a
they
robot?
all punch the wall, I think he's a robot. They don't really explain it in depth. We're supposed to know from a previous Super Friends adventure that he was really hard to beat.
Okay.
But I guess their master plan is if all the heroes break up into teams and they free all of these villains that they've defeated in the past, it'll allow them to defeat the Conqueror. Because I think the Conqueror gained the powers of all these already very powerful other villains. He stole their powers to become the ultimate villain or something like that. I, again, didn't read the ones before this. That's okay. So if they all punch this wall at the same time, and then the force of that blow ricochets off the walls, eventually it'll continue magnifying until it cracks, and then they can escape. It was that easy.
And none of those blows or that energy hit any of them.
They dodged it. They can see motion lines.
With the speed of a ram.
By Lynceus, the ram of his day in Greece, he saw motion lines in the Odyssey. And of course, when the World Breaker gets out, he says, I must destroy you both. You beat us once, but that was before we learned of your weaknesses, such as X-rays. And he just flashes his eyes at him, and it makes him all woozy, I guess. Part 2. So they're really short parts, by the way. They're like 3-4 pages, maybe.
So
with the
next
ads.
heroes.
We've got Zan and Jaina, the Wonder Twins, with another person no one remembers, Wild Huntsman.
Wild Huntsman.
Yeah, so I think that's our Viking guy on the cover.
Right.
Not only do we have the Olympian, who nobody remembers, at least I didn't,
No, I didn't either.
but the Wild Huntsman, who's like a Nordic sort of guy. He rides this cool, it's like
His
a
horse
dark...
is cool.
Yeah, it's like a dark unicorn. It's got the horn, but it's like dark, and he's got a hound.
Wow.
They fight these very Johnny Quest looking robots.
They look a little friendlier over there than they do here.
Yeah. They're like, hey, is that Bill? He's coming back with the beer? Wait a minute, that's the Wonder Twins. I think
don't
they're
drink beer.
they're the minions of the Time Trapper who's captured in this block of ice, I guess. So Jaina becomes a bug.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's going to become the
Boiling
shape
water.
of boiling water. They have such goofy powers. He's just going to beat the crap out of them with an axe. It's a little more
wow.
straightforward than turning into a bug.
Oh, his hound gets him.
Yeah, I hope it didn't hurt his teeth. Their legs are made of rawhide. My one weakness, a dog. I like this block, though. Clang!
Yeah.
It breaks his hand off. And they don't even show, like, it would be too distressing to kids to see him, like, hit a robot in the head, so they just, cover it up, I guess. I don't know. And then they just get dizzy and fall over. He has a nice dialect. Art! Was it los?
Oh, my God.
I don't know what this... He talks normally sometimes, but he says, Ach, ist. This time, you're wrong, Huntsman. I guess she had flown into their circuitry.
Oh, gotcha.
Shorted it out, just like, you know...
Like a bug does.
Bugs do that all the time, I guess.
Like a bug do.
I really like this little mini Twinkies.
Plastic
Marvel.
Man.
I think they're a Marvel and DC hostess ads, but we got a Twinkie ad, and I love this. Look at his little face. His face is the handlebars. Plastic Man is fun.
Cupid doll hairdo.
I feel like Plastic Man now, with the type of CGI they're able to do now, they could do a really fun Plastic Man.
But why would
if they
Plastic
didn't take it too
Man
seriously,
be fun over Reed Richards?
He has a more whimsical sense of humor.
Oh, true.
He becomes object. Like, I don't think Reed often becomes like a dinner cart. He's too proud. He's like, I'm a damn scientist. I'm not going to be a little moped. He probably could become that. But he, even just when he's hanging out, he doesn't even have furniture. He just uses his dang feet.
Yeah, he hammocks himself. Yeah, that's a good point. They could do something
That's very,
cool.
like, so cartoony compared to the
yeah.
superhero style. He's like a...
It's like Wimpy from Popeye.
It does look very Popeye or like Family Circus or Dilbert or something. I don't know what it looks like, but it's very exaggerated. That's why you should get Twinkies, though, because they're endorsed by Plastic Man. This guy was going to commit a crime to get Twinkies. They're that good.
Wow. What,
all the gold in the world. Gold Hostess Twinkies cakes. They do a sting. They set this guy up, and he's like, okay, Plastic Man,
notice.
you pretend to be the dinner cart, and
With
then I'll
your
put all
face
these
in front.
delicious Twinkies. You know how you put a giant serving thing over Twinkies? It's a fancy restaurant, you know?
Oh, that's great.
His eyes. He's like, holy crap! You've destroyed 2 of our adversaries. Ach! So Donka. Meanwhile, he's the boiling water vapor boy. He still has blunt bangs in his vapor form.
It's hard to wear blunt bangs.
He pulls it off. He becomes this ice fist. He's like he like condensates or something into ice and punches the time trapper. So that's another villain down. If you remember, I believe, didn't we encounter this fella? He was one of the headmen in Green Lantern. He might be just a very similar villain. But yeah, there was the headmen from Green. They had that whole race of evolved people. So he's being guarded out in the desert. We have Robin and the Rising Sun, another less popular character paired with a well-known one. And all these thugs, they have their job is to make sure he doesn't get out of this little force field that's dampening his powers. What kind of job is this? Guarding that guy with the big head? Yeah, what's to guard? He never makes moves. It's like, they didn't explain that to you when they hired you? Like, yeah, this guy has powers, and he has a really big head. I know it's weird, but you get, like, a bunch of money if you guard him. No, they have no idea. Just for our sake, they need to out loud be like, hey, what are we doing here again? Was I watching football? Oh, wait, I'm at work. I'm guarding this guy. It's a little goofy. Robin sneaks up in the desert on a sand dune, and he's going to take out all these thugs. Kind of similar to the last chapter where the robots were the little minions, and then they free the big boss guy. So they are easily dispatched by Rising Sun and Robin here.
What is Rising Sun's powers?
He shoots something out of his fist, I guess.
The Rising Sun.
Yeah, the power of the Rising Sun. Well, yeah, infrared rays. Here we go. He makes his gun so hot.
So hot he can't hold on to it.
Yeah, there we go.
He could probably melt bullets.
I wouldn't go that far. He could make them hot. They'd hurt more. I'll chop you into sausage, he says. It's like, you have a machine gun. You're going to chop him into sausage? It's a weird thing to say with your machine gun.
And Robin
Not by the hair of your chin. He's so sassy.
Oh, my God.
He's like, I can never say something like that around Batman. He's way too serious.
He is, though.
He is. So they can't get through the force field. He tries blasting it. He's like, did you try blasting it? I'll play on a hunch. See? It was only made to stop brainwaves, not solid bodies. So on a complete hunch, he's like, what if I just stick my arm in there? And it's okay. He's like, yep, you can just pass right through. How did he have that hunch? I mean, I know he trains with the world's greatest detective, but what if it like cut his arm off because it's pure energy and it burned him alive or something? I don't know.
Wow.
So
Wouldn't you have gotten the new guy to do it?
Yeah, he's like, I have a hunch, but why did you stick your arm in there?
You're older than I am. Batman said that I had to be good.
Oldest first. We get a little more backstory. The Conqueror broke me out of prison. Then he had me mentally contact Sinestro, supposedly to form an alliance against our common foe Green Lantern. There we go.
There we go.
But he tricked Sinestro out of his yellow power ring and used it to imprison us both. So the Conqueror was assembling all these villains, but then double-crossed them to become the final big boss guy.
Okay.
So I'm thinking maybe the issue before this, we got to see Batman and Green Lantern and Aquaman, but we missed all those parts, I guess. And this, has different chapters. So in between this, you go.
Who's this guy?
That's Sinestro.
Oh yeah.
They collected him along with all these other villains to go confront. I don't actually know if all the other villains are there, but Sinestro's there with them, and they're going to confront the Conqueror. That is it's Aquaman holding an extra costume. He's holding it up. It's like, I might need this later. It's got a kind of a tall neck to it, but it's his turtleneck.
Bizarre.
I don't know. We'll see maybe on the next page, hopefully. But when they go to confront the Conqueror, what? Great thunder! Dr. Mist! Classic character Dr. Mist is there. So the Conqueror's all like, I'm unbeatable. He takes the golden fleece from the Olympian. He wraps up Wonder Woman in her own lasso. She's supposed to be the only one that controls that, I guess. The rest, he's like, well, we don't have enough panels for me to individually dispatch you, so the rest, you're all knocked out. Even little Snaky Jones over there. He's like,
Snaky Jones.
I thought you knew who that was. Who invited Snaky Jones? Like, I just saw you guys on an adventure. I joined up. Do you have any powers? I have this costume.
I thought you were in line at the taco truck.
This isn't the line for the taco. Oh, no. So the big climax is kind of anticlimactic because it turns out that Dr. Thunder, is that what his name was? I'm sorry, Dr. Mist. He just defeats the Conqueror, like, suddenly. He's like, my ring gone, Sinestro. I guess he had stolen Sinestro's ring, the Conqueror did.
God.
Who? How? I did it. But how is something you will never learn, and none of us really learn anything from reading this. But I have many other ways of making you talk. No! The Conqueror sees nothing save an outstretched hand, a pointing finger, but he feels an impact like that of a charging bull.
He looks like he's going to say,
he's biting his fingernails. Then his face changes. The confident look of power-mad monomaniac is gone to be replaced by an expression of sheer terror.
Wow.
He just points at him and defeats him. He's all scared. He's a quivering, cowering Hulk. A complete wreck. Himmel. I like that expression. Listen, that's so
Yeah.
He lost his ring. His ring is utterly demolished. So, I don't know. I think maybe he explains that long ago I wielded my power a great deal, and not always wisely. It is dangerous. So I at last decided to use it sparingly. This time, fortunately, I needed only a small bit of it. So I guess he's just worried about using too much power, but he could have stopped this guy the whole time?
What?
Sinestro's ring, his power was waning, and you could not renew it without returning to the Quartian universe, whose people are now your enemies. So I guess that's going to be like a follow-up we get in a few issues of, does Sinestro get his ring back or not?
Yeah.
I know you're on the edge of the seat to see that. You are the true conquerors, and Robin's back there. He's like, actually, I think it's you. You probably could have just saved us a lot of time if you just defeated him by pointing at him. So there's the super friends for you.
That was a little anticlimactic.
It was a little goofy. I do like the Seraph here. We get a little mini story. He's like an Israeli superhero. They're at Masada. They're on this big like plateau. Let's see. Wendy, meet Chaim Levan. He's to be our tour guide our guide for tomorrow's tour. So these two girls are visiting Israel. He's our hero, and he can like channel like Old Testament like biblical powers. He's kind of like the Olympian, but it's like
more biblical.
Yeah,
Instead of...
exactly. Instead of Greek mythology. So he tells the story of this Fort Masada, which was like in 36 to 30 BC, King Herod the Great turned Masada into a pleasure palace and formidable fort. 100 years later, Rome sacked Jerusalem. The last band of Jewish fighters fled into the desert to continue their battle for freedom. From Masada, they harried the Romans for 2 years, so they held off the Roman invasion for 2 years. And finally, Flavius Silva, the Roman 10th Legion, the leader of the Roman 10th Legion, plus 10,000 colonial troops and slaves marched on Masada. After a year of siege, there was no escape for the Jews. Flavius offered surrender and a life as slaves or death. So we get a little history lesson about this fort. He's looking at the ruins. He looks at them again. It's like, what? There's a bunch of guys under there. They're all alive. The Roman Legion is back, but they've been dead for hundreds of years. But it was just a mirage, maybe? I guess he's a trick of the day's heat. You know how when you get overheated, you see Roman armies? It's a common symptom of dehydration. Wait. Chaim, you're pale. My head is clearing, Rivka. The soldiers have vanished. All except one, Flavius Silva, the guy who's the leader of the 10th Legion. So she's giving some exposition that, tomorrow 960 men, women, and children from the USA will be atop Masada awaiting your words of inspiration. They're on a field trip, And that's what Flavius Silva is expecting.
He's going to conquer Masada again.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I need to kill 1,000 people, or at least 960. And he sees Flavius again, so he's like, I'm going to turn into the Seraph and investigate. So this is the Seraph. He has like his big walking stick and his furs. And he explains, as we already suspected, that he's Flavius Silva of the 10th Legion. And so they start fighting. He's like, tomorrow is the anniversary of that slaughter, killing all the people and enslaving all the Jews. And he says, 960 Americans will be on Masada. They denied me their lives as slaves, and they insolently arrogated my right to kill them. So he's going to like... kind of similar to most ghost stories where he has unfinished business. Exactly 960 souls on the summit of Masada, so it's perfect. Not only is it the anniversary, but there's the right number of people to kill here that I didn't get to kill before.
Oh, and he's going after the camel.
He can like blast
a Bedouin in his camel.
I know, this guy's just like hanging out. He's like, I'm just walking over here.
To bed.
It's actually Robert De Niro back there. I'm walking in. My camel.
My camel here.
Oh, and I neglected to say this. So he offered them death or slavery, and 960 men, women, and children ended their lives at their own hands rather than be captured. They committed suicide. So that's why he's like, I didn't get to kill them. That's his big concern. He's like, I was really hoping to kill 960 people, and they beat me to it.
By myself.
Right?
Jeez.
He's a demon out of history, as we see here. And Flavius starts to get the upper hand on the Seraph after a big thwack on the shield. Oh, crap, he loses his staff. He gets a good punching, I guess, but soon enough, he calls down a blinding shattering of lightning. The demon strikes. And they're like, no pulse, he's dead. But his staff can become the staff of Moses, it turns out that's what that staff is. It becomes the serpent of eternal death.
All right.
I like this. It's got kind of a weird thickness there.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have... I guess that's teeth, but the coloring makes it blend in with this guy's skin. But he turns to dust after getting bit by the snake. So really, the Seraph is not that heroic. Maybe we should just let this stick that becomes a lethal snake protect us all. Like, if we ever have problems, go get him, stick.
Kill the Seraph and let the stick handle it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it turns out he's okay. Of course, what else can one expect when you wear the mantle of Elijah? After all, if Elijah, by the Lord's power, restored life to a widow's dead son, in 1 Kings 17:22, surely he'd do the same for the one who inherited his clothes.
Wow.
So,
I
happy
don't
ending.
remember this.
I know, it's kind of a weird theme, right? But
Yeah.
it's cool to see a hero from like a different culture, a different country.
Yeah.
But yeah, very similar to the Olympian, and just like, let's take things that happen in this old text and make a superhero out of them, like with the Greek mythology. But it was a fun comic. I think it would have been even better if I read the lead up. But then again, if I read like 2 or 3 issues that led up to this final confrontation that was over just in like 2 panels of Dr. Mist pointing at him,
With the payoff being
it was already anticlimactic, but even more so.
right. Right.
Still pretty fun to read the Super Friends.
It's always good to see them using their powers and
Yeah. And being friends.
being friends.
By the hair on their chinny chin chins. Right, Moon Knight.
Yeah, so I chose Moon Knight. And this one was the first one that I chose solely for the cover. I really like the artwork in this cover.
Oh, those jagged teeth.
Yeah, but they almost look like a skyline, too. in a
Yeah, or
way.
like, since this is kind of watery, it almost looks like rock or something.
Yeah.
protruding.
So it's, yeah,
I like
and
that
I like the
moon.
Yeah, and the distress lines from his eyes, and yeah,
I like how stretched out his figure is, too. It gives it a exaggerated,
good
dramatic
color
look.
choices.
That's a great cover.
Yeah. So this is number 34. And something that I realized that last week with Hawkman, it was Isabella working on it with some other writers and artists. And this week, Tony Isabella with
Weird.
Moon Knight.
I feel like you don't often see the credits on this reverse cover page. It's usually an ad. I wonder why
I
they did
know.
that.
I know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I like it. So we open up with this guy here, and Mark Spector, and
He was not a very nice man.
no, and that man could never have come to this deserted industrial wasteland on a mission made of equal parts mercy and vengeance
Stephen
without
Grant
Stephen
could've.
Grant.
So Mark Spector is the mercenary, cold-hearted mercenary, but he's also Stephen Grant, his
Who
other
is
personality.
a millionaire.
Hmm.
And you've read about Grant, the committed millionaire, about town, a pretty,
Dependable guy, as the upper crust goes.
yeah. And Grant couldn't have found this place without Jake Looney. Lockley.
Lockley, yeah.
God, I can't talk. Lockley.
Jake Looney, his friend's
Looney.
called Looney Lockley.
Looney Lockley.
How does he have time to sleep? He's busy being all these personalities all the time.
I know. And on top of that, he is also the Egyptian god Khonshu.
He is the god? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. So in the newer TV series, that's a separate character. That's interesting.
Right. Whereas in this, and like last week, Hawkman had a very complicated backstory. The same can be said for Moon Knight, but a little less complicated. It's just sometimes, the god is something other than him. But in this story, it's kind of like, that's all in him.
How does he know this cat has a very bad cold?
I know
There's
it.
something behind me. Only a cat. Cat with a very bad cold. Is he like sneezing?
I know it. And I read that really carefully, and I was looking at all of the everything around it, thinking, where's the sneeze? It's just a mad cat or an old cat.
Maybe his nose is running. We just can't see it.
So anyway, we find him at an old warehouse, and he's there to investigate. And he does sense something behind him.
I like how
It's only a
each
cat.
personality is a different phase of the moon. Slightly.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. And he's the full moon, is the mercenary. But, his powers are that he is master martial artist. He is,
He can drive a cab.
yes. Well, he can work high-tech equipment. He works with high-tech equipment. He's an expert detective.
Apparently he's a millionaire, so he could probably afford really good gear.
Oh,
like
sure.
Batman.
Yeah, and mystical visions. So that's how he knows the cat has a
Oh.
cold.
He had a mystical vision about
It's
it.
like, my mystical senses are telling me
Well,
that cat
cats,
is
I guess,
sniffling.
were
Egyptian
yeah, part of
worshipped.
Egyptian culture. So he knows all the signs of a cold. Oh, that's a cool panel.
Yes. So then,
Ooh, the little spit lines or something. That's whatever that is.
then he
Frank?
turns around as something comes running and leaping at him, primal scream, roaring, and he's like, Frank, I hate to do this to you, but hopped up kid like that, the quicker I put him down, the better. So he knocks him out, and he's getting ready to let the cops know. Frenchie, one of the guys he works with,
Oh, that's like his Alfred, I think.
call the cops. We got one. He's down, and he thinks he's out for the count, but he takes off running, and he just thinks he's some kid hopped up on drugs. That's basically what he's believing right now. And here he is back with
Oh, he's being Lockley here, the cabbie.
Yeah, and he's
I
back.
like the character design of this
I know.
person.
Jake. Okay, so every day he waltzes in here and he said, how's the kids, Gina? Now, whose kids do you think I'm asking about? And he goes, what's all the official interest, Crowley? There's always somebody named Crowley.
Yeah.
That's really odd. And he's just, I merely thought you might be inquiring about a young men's social club called the Raiders. I hear the police have started,
Spared little expense.
yeah. And they're not your typical street gang. So he's insinuating that there's something more afoot. And he regularly works with these guys. And they're like his friends, basically. So we see outside that Frankie, the kid that he thought he had put down, he went away, and he's got these other guys with him.
Are those the Raiders?
And they're hungry. It's like they had this hunger. They break in, they knock Crowley down, and Jake starts to fight him. And I mean, they're almost werewolf-like. Or zombie-like. I mean, they don't know what's up, other than they think it's just a group of punks, and they're down at the warehouse. But they're like, he's like, get out of my way, man. I'm hungry. And they keep talking about their hunger.
What?
Yeah.
They're snarling.
Yeah.
He snarls.
Yeah.
He says snarl.
It's creepy, and this guy looks like he's turning into a werewolf.
The weird way of the placement of his foot makes it look like it's almost coming out of this guy's mouth. So hungry, he's gonna eat that guy's shoe.
Great. Oh, but look at the angle. Yeah, that's weird. Because this would be the shadow of this leg. He's really
Kicking out of his mouth.
Wow.
It's weird.
Yeah, that's a really weird angle to draw. And so he goes over to Gina, and
He is a vampire.
he goes, they're hungry. I'm hungry. And he starts chewing on her.
Ugh.
And yeah, that's horrific. And this one guy knocks Jake out, and Gina, we're coming to help you. Don't. Jake, are you all right? Talk to me, Jake. And he comes to, and Gina's outside. They've got an ambulance showed up. Gina's outside. And she has raised her sons, her kids. And this Frankie kid is a kid that she raised. She recognized that kid.
Oh, wow.
And that's why he came there to her diner looking for food. But, they're cannibals.
Yikes.
So Jake sees the helicopter take off, and then we have Moon Knight showing up, and he's going back to investigate what happened. And she's like, I want that ungrateful little maggot harmed. I want him harmed so badly he won't ever be able to walk upright again. I treated that boy like family. He treated me like today's hot lunch special. Get him for me, Jake. Bring me his stinking head on a platter. So she's pissed. And of course, I mean, Moon Knight has had a violent past as a mercenary, but right now his whole thing is that he's redeeming his life of violence by protecting and avenging the innocent people. So, you know, Frankie's under the influence of something and he's going to investigate. So Crowley's like, are you okay? And you want me to stay? And she's like, no, I can't let them win. I can't let them take my feeling safe in my own place away from me.
She's not turning into a vampire, so maybe they are just cannibals.
Yeah, I mean, she's back from the hospital. Seems fine right now. But then you see Frankie's still out there. He's still hungry. So Moon Knight goes back and he finds this girl. And the whole place smells. He talks about how even with his cowl, it blocks some of the stench, but there's this awful, like, rotting smell. And then he finds her, and, like, her skin is rotting. Ugh. And then you have Stephen Grant, and he's like, I've been here before. And as it turns out, he goes, I've been here before as Stephen Grant. So that's it. Then this place closes down next month, and there's not a blessed thing we can do about it. Don't take it so hard, my boy. You and your fellow investors did everything you could to buy this complex and make it a working concern again. It just couldn't happen, the economy, you know? So they bought this place and tried to make it a working business.
Oh, okay. I like the way they draw this guy.
Oh, yeah. That makes him real shady.
Shadowy, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and Stephen Grant is a good guy, you know. He's like, well, you know, maybe we can clean up this place, and, you know, the EPA could come in and we can make sure. Yeah, we can clean it up for people.
I've never heard of a millionaire that wasn't a good person.
And it's not that he was a bad person or that it just the wheels of you know,
I like how
justice.
They depict the seasons changing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's just trying to do the right thing. Got bogged down by the bureaucracy.
Okay. And
so you have Moon Knight. He's taking care of her. He's going to make sure she's taken care of and that she gets healthy. And then we cut back to the diner as she drops her cup. And she's like, get a grip on yourself, lady. That's the 4th cup you've killed tonight. And she's just nervous. Every little sound just makes her jump. And then all of a sudden, she hears, hello, Gina. And he's creepy. I mean, I know. Look at how he's walking. You can just imagine him slinking in. And
got bad posture.
And then back to Moonlight.
Ooh.
And he goes deeper into this place. And he finds all these guys barely alive.
Yikes.
And he's like, easy, kid. This Allicade, he's in charge, right? He's like, the rest of the raiders wanted to leave this dump and find a new hangout. Smell was making us sick most of the time. Things got worse when Allicade, and he turns out to be the leader of this group,
okay.
Found some kind of top secret stuff and opened the drum it was in. The stuff was poison. It could make a guy feel like a tiger or make him real crazy. And he goes, where are these drums now? And so he points. And, of course, Moon Knight heads right down in there, no thought to his own safety. And he finds this drum labeled Primal Project.
Sounds suspicious.
Yeah. Then we cut. It was years ago. Spectre was working for the feds at the time, and he was escorting this guy in search of what's his name? The scientist.
A man named Wenzel through a South American jungle. They need to find. Oh, his primal project has to be terminated. So they're looking for somebody who manages the primal project.
Yes. And it was supposed to slow a man's thinking process and make him docile, easy to handle. Something went wrong. Look in the tree.
Uh-oh.
And he goes, don't move an inch, pal. And what is it? That is the professor. So something went wrong, and the professor who is formulating
Maybe
this
he's more of a werewolf than a vampire.
for the U.S. Army, of course. And so they find his men, some of them near death, and they're like, some of these men are still alive, but they're very weak. We've got to get them medical help. And I didn't realize so much had already been manufactured. There must be and then here comes the professor. And he takes Spectre down.
I thought he shot him. I guess he survived.
Well, I think he hits him, and then his gun goes off. Fortunately, not into him. Oh, yeah.
I guess he just, he took him down, but
he's
maybe
back.
there's another one, or he's back, yeah.
He's back. And Lord, he's even more bestial than Glasgow. Okay, so it is a new guy. He'll kill Spectre if I don't stop him. So, I mean, look at him. He's so cool looking.
I love that drawing.
Yes. And they think that they destroy things. His last bullet, he hits this can, exploding the tent.
It's a well-drawn explosion.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I like the smoke.
He's saying, case closed. But was it?
Ooh, I like that swirling mist. That's a cool panel.
Yeah. And what to do with the rest of this mutagenic chemical weapon Glasgow had developed. Hello, Alacade. So, this place is mine. So he's definitely been exposed to more of it and more often because he's
more of a cat man than a wolf man.
Well, and the kid said it can make you
like a tiger.
Yeah. And then we cut back as she's fighting off Frankie. And it cuts between Moon Knight and then coming back to the fight at the diner. But Moon Knight is fighting all out against this guy. He even says, I won't like using this nunchuck on you, but I'll do whatever I have to put an end to this horror. So
not the nunchucks.
Not the nunchucks in the throat.
His one weakness is neck.
And so she goes to grab the boiling water.
It's cool that they have both fights going on at the same time.
Yeah, you can imagine if it were in film. Exactly. It would be really exciting. And yeah. So she whacks him, gets him down. And Alacade is still going. And he goes, oh, terrific. He's stronger than I thought, too. I still got to take him. And she's still fighting and hits him with a chair. Yeah, just hold that floor, Frank. I don't want to hit you again. Can't stop now. So this stuff, whatever it is, it makes them unstoppable, so it would seem. And he hits Moon Knight. You can't stop me, Ghost Man. I'll keep bouncing you around till you ain't nothing but a wet smear on the wall.
Yikes.
That's not how it works, kid. You're still getting up. Yeah, kid. So, yeah, I like how Moon Knight is just as unstoppable. It's got to stop sometime, Frank.
His costume got tore
up.
Yeah. She's doing a good job.
It's the double fist.
The double punch. I like that. You can see the silhouette of his snout.
Oh, yeah. Didn't Wolverine in your last comic use the double punch? And so it has her calling the operator, get me the police. He said, it's finished, Frenchie. You better.
That's a cool way to show that he's defeated.
Yeah.
His limp arm there.
Land the chopper to pick me up. And yeah, he even says I won't be doing any climbing for a few days. So we're back at the diner. And morning, Gina, Crawley. Tell you about the kid? And only that the doctor expects most of them to recover. And that their lawyers claim they were under the influence of that primal stuff the whole time. So she's still just broken. It's traumatized her.
Yeah, if she helped raise that kid, then she has to beat him up with a chair and some boiling water.
Yeah. And she's I trusted Frank like he was one of my own, Jake. And every time I come in here, all the pain comes back. Maybe it wasn't all his fault, but nobody forced him to join that gang. And is it right that I can't walk into my own diner without getting sick? It's like, no, but you're too good a lady to let this eat you up forever. Yeah, it'll work out. You two get out of here. It's Sunday, and this good lady definitely needs a day off. She locks up and stuff. Then she's like, the back door. She checks, and it's locked. And then she goes, maybe I should check that. And she's just traumatized.
Yeah, she's hypervigilant. Looks like she's finally passing out.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have this second little story, which is Stanley presents The Vault of Night. And he...
The scorekeeper.
Yeah, and
Like
he's got a scorecard.
Sports-themed crypt keeper. That's weird.
I know it. And he's like got a ballistic vest over a janitor's costume.
I think it might be an umpire's vest.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah,
like
that makes sense.
Baseball
Yeah.
themed or something.
Yeah, okay. I
That's weird.
get that. Okay, so he is giving Moon Knight a score for this issue.
Really?
Yes. Like, how good is this guy? What is he actually doing that's good? And he looks over, and right now, these kids, after this all happened, they're taking one from the playbook and dressing up like...
They're pretending they got the primal stuff.
And then they're showing up at old people's houses saying, oh, we're hungry. Money will make us feel better. And they're getting people to give them
their
money.
fangs punched out of their
and
mouth.
getting their fangs punched out of their mouths by Moon Knight.
This guy's mouth and expression. Ugh. It's a little creepy.
That tooth goes right up between those teeth.
You just don't do that?
So, yeah. So I knew it. You've all got marshmallows for hearts. Don't you think I know you're getting Mooney points because he helped the old man? Why can't these heroes ever save Bloomingdale's? Wait a minute. And so we have, what about Gina? One of the Moon Knight's own team, and he couldn't prevent what happened to her. And that's Ricky and Ray, Gina's kids. They aren't going to like what they're about to hear. And so they come in, what do you want to talk about, Mom? And she's like, I was talking to your Uncle Raleigh today, the one with the big restaurant out in Houston, and he kind of offered, they're like, what? So he's thinking, yeah, see, they got to move. How's that helping Gina? And then Frenchie, and he's asking, how is he helping Frenchie? Or Marlene, who is the love interest of Stephen, Crawley, and he's keeping score on everything that happened. This is Detective Flint, a good cop who should know better than to wait on a dimly lit street corner for an early morning meeting with his favorite costume vigilante. He's waiting for Moon Knight when he throws one of his moon discs and knocks the gun out of someone who is...
Now he's sneaking up on him.
Sneaking up on him to take him down. And he goes to the hospital to visit him. And this is the cop who went into the building. And he said, thank you, Moon Knight, you saved my life. I was shaken before I went in there. I was so scared. And I should ask you, this is so silly. What, am I going to ask you for your autograph next? And Moonlight's like, Flint tells me there's a storage drum busted 3 ribs. I'm sorry. Maybe if I'd moved a little faster. So he's apologizing to this guy. He's like, it's all part of the job.
He knows somebody's keeping score.
Right. I don't have to tell you exactly. And Moon Knight just basically says, hey, I just may ask you for yours. So he's a nice guy. And this guy's like, I don't remember the coach giving the sign for the stirring speech pitch. So he's getting all upset and stuff, and he's like, okay, the score. Well, then he rips it up.
What a weird way to end the issue.
Isn't it?
It's like a little commentary on the issue, and it reminds you that you're reading a comic. That's really weird.
Yeah. I did not expect that. I did not.
They didn't know where to go with the main story, so like, oh, we still have a few pages to fill. What if we talked about whether Moon Knight did a good job or not?
This looks good, though.
I know. The master plan of Doctor Doom, get a dinosaur into your living room to break all your furniture. That nefarious bastard.
And that's funny, because a couple episodes ago, the Thing fought a dinosaur.
That's true. Classic way to test your strength.
Yeah, like I don't think back on comic books and think, oh, remember how they used dinosaurs in the stories? And there's two right there.
They're pretty common. You just go to the Savage Land and find some.
True.
That was a cool issue, though. I like the art quite a bit. That's a great drawing of Moon Knight.
Yes. I always loved how they drew Moon Knight. You can draw him very dramatic.
I like sometimes his eyes are a little cartoony, but sometimes it's more serious looking.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems like the cowl is more prominent, and sometimes it's not. I mean, there's a lot they do with the Moonlight, and I really like it. He used to be one of my favorites. So that's my comic for this week.
Awesome.
If you liked what you heard, give us a like, follow, send us a request on something you want us to read. We'll do our best to look it up.